What is up, everybody? My name is Michael, or Kiratze online. Hopefully you guys are having a great day as usual. Now we are back. Well, not really back. This is just going to be a first time I'm going to be doing this. This is sort of just a quick play thing that I'll probably do just every once in a while when I'm playing stuff off screen or just have a really good game, but I didn't commentate on it. Now that there's a replay system, we can actually go back and I can, show you guys an awesome game or something cool that happened with a fun deck. And yeah, it's awesome. I'm really glad they have the replay system in there right now, even if it did muddle things up a little bit. This is with a new deck that I'm testing out. And sadly, I didn't do this for a decking around episode. I probably should have just did it for a decking around thing, but I didn't expect it to be so much fun and work out, actually. And it was a suggestion from a YouTube viewer, SunFam, I think. He commented on my last video asking me to make a White Widow deck, and he used White Widow in Magmar with fractal replications, but I don't have any fractal replications and I wasn't going to be crafting them. I don't have the spirit to right now, and I don't really have anything good to disenchant for it at the moment, so I decided just to go back to Abyssian. And I figure, in a deck that likes to do a little bit of chip damage and have some great way to do damage out of hand, why not make an Abyssian deck? And this deck is full of fun and goodness. And the last two games I played, I beat out 2 Third Wish Vitruvians, and the last game that I'm about to show you in a replay, he got out Jack's turn 1, Third Wish turn 2, and we still kicked his ass. I apologize to the player as well. I did a little bit of BMing, just, because I really am bored of that kind of matchup, turn 1 to turn 2, Third Wish. It's such a boring game. And as an Abyssian player, you look at that and you're like, well, I don't really have a way to answer that. So let's see what happens. But that's why I opted for more of a controlled game plan for this deck, utilizing Sarlacc and Ritual Banishings just to slow down the game a little bit and to just hit key things. Because cards like Spectral Blade and Lure, they're generally all right to deal with whatever else is on board. Anything small, anything threatening, you can just, what in most matchups what you're trying to look for with Ritual Banishing. So, Third Wish targets against Vitruvian, against Songhai, you're probably going to kill off a Lantern Fox with Ritual Banishing. Against Lionar, you have Ironcliff Guardians, So as long as you're keeping that in mind and you're playing the matchup well enough, you can pull out some wins. And the idea for this deck is using White Widow, Venom Toth, and Burn for a lot of chip damage. And you have Dark Seeds and Alcuins to recycle spells and finish off your opponent with big Shadow Dancer turns, and also Spectral Revenant turns to finish off your opponent near the end game. You are looking for a longer game and really just chipping away your opponent's health. The nice thing about Venom Toths and cards like White Widow is they do get rid of Dispels, and same with Jaxi. They draw out the Dispels, which make room for your Sarlacc to stick on the board. And then you can even just play the super long game if you need to by just cycling Ritual Banishings with your Alcuin, and then just going 1 for 1 pretty much forever until you can just keep chipping away at their health. Which is, it's pretty fun. The deck, this is the first sort of iteration of the deck, and it does need a little bit of tweaking, obviously. It's a very clunky deck sometimes, but the game plan is fairly straightforward. So, Aether Master is obviously used for the White Widow synergy, but you could probably cut down on the White Widow, probably knock it down to 2 of, and you could probably cut out the Aether Masters if you want, but because, obviously focusing on that game plan. If you get it out really early, it can be pretty impactful on the board. But if you don't get it out early, it doesn't really do enough a lot of the times, and it depends on what type of deck your opponent's running. But, it can help. Aether Master is nice in a deck like this when you want to try to dig for your Ritual Banishings and dig for your, Void Pulses and Alcuins and stuff like that. So I like Aether Master in a spell-based deck for sure. But yeah, this is the list, and let's just jump into the replay because I don't want to make these kinds of videos too long. This was a friendly game. Kawakazi actually has his own version of this deck on the Abyssian section on the forums if you guys want to check that out. It looks pretty fun. It's same idea with White Widow and Aether Master, but overall his deck runs quite a bit different. But his deck's a lot of fun, and I was just helping him test it out with a Lionar game here. But let's go to the replay. Again, apologize to Nightfall 20 if you ever watched this. This wasn't me getting annoyed at you. This was me getting annoyed just at Third Wish in general, because it's forced Vitruvians to play in this kind of play style. So I like keeping the Sarlacc. It's, the Vitruvian matchup's all just about hoping they don't have, the Dispels pretty much. But you got to play towards your game plan, and Third Wish or Sarlacc is important. So I see the Jaxi playing behind him. I know a Third Wish is coming, and I'm like, well, shit. Okay, well, this game's gonna go to shit, but might as well play it out anyways. No sense of giving him a free win. So I play Sarlacc. Pretty much just testing if he has the Dispel. We're just going to play things on curve pretty much. I knew he has the Third Wish. I get a little annoyed at that. But, what are you going to do? Look how quick he was to protect his little Third Wish creature as well. Just quickly ran up there, knocked it out of the way, and Sarlacc takes control of the board. Now, realistically, I probably could have ran up here, played Shadow Dancer, but it wouldn't give any value. And our goal pretty much against Vitruvian is board control. We have to do everything we can to pretty much secure Third Wish targets and get rid of them. And while along the way, we're going to try and dig for Ritual Banishing. Now, I know he doesn't have the Dispel, otherwise he would have dispelled the Sarlacc. It's a very high priority target for Dispel, so no reason why he wouldn't have done that, since he could have also just ran up and hit it with the Dispel. So that shows that he doesn't have a Dispel. I want to get the Sarlacc out, both Sarlaccs out early. Not only does it's a slow card, so I want to get it out as soon as possible, but once we start digging for our rituals and stuff like that, we'll have just more targets that hit just in case he happens to draw into Dispels in the future. And we don't really need to play the heals just yet, but I do want to keep on the Emeralds just because this card's going to do a lot of work. Third Wish is really annoying and really aggressive, but we do draw the Ritual Banishing and White Widow. I decided to keep. Realistically, I should have got rid of it, but I thought, by the off chance we do happen to draw an Aether Master or something, I can potentially get rid of Jaxi. So yeah, we're already down to 15. This is a fun game, isn't it? Third Wish is so much fun to play against. Very, 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 very smart play to, moving your Third Wish creature back and then just shooting in a straight line. And then, playing Twilights and Alcuins to get Third Wish back. Very, very tough deck to play. Again, sorry for commenting on this game, Nightfall. This isn't my anger towards you. This is just anger towards Third Wish Vitruvian in general. So he has a big body now, and now I know he has another Third Wish in his hand. So I have to keep that in mind when I'm choosing on where I want to use the Ritual Banishing. We want to make sure we hit the, we have a lot of healing in hand with Void Pulses and Emeralds and Shadow Dancers. So we're really looking to try and use our health as a resource and squeeze out as much as we can out of those Third Wishes and try to get those 2-for-1s. Now that we have both Sarlaccs equipped as well, I know that I can start getting more mileage out of Shadow Dancer, which is nice because we are obviously already on turn 3. We're obviously pretty low on health, or already down to 15, and it could get worse from here when he has 2 Third Wish targets. Now, right now I don't need the White Widow. It doesn't have any use right now, but I figure let's try and use his own stuff against him. Let's get the Third Wish back and kill off his Jaxi. So that gets rid of 1 Third Wish target and also develops a pretty big threat for us. Now, I know he doesn't have the Dispel, so this is a much safer play than it would be normally. And, luckily we did get the good spawn. We had a 50-50 chance on getting a good spawn for us. And now if he wants to start now it's sort of baiting him into using his Third Wish again. But I noticed that my positioning wasn't that great, so he can just kill it off with what he has on board. Sadly, but that's all right. We do have the Ritual Banishing. I just want to keep that in hand, because knowing that he's going to put it on something for our Third Wish target, the goal is pretty much get out of range of Burst. The Third Wish deck doesn't have a ton of Burst out of hand, unless, they get a really good Star's Fury off. They need a little bit of board developed to get a lot of Burst out, or it'll just be a very expensive combo with like Saber Spine Tiger or something like that. So sadly, he gets rid of my Third Wish, but that's all right. This is where Shadow Dancer can come in hand. Now, Third Wish decks are obviously aggressive, so he's starting to go phase here, pretty much ignoring all this stuff. Obviously, he has no Dispels. We can play, thanks to our positioning, we can play Starlight or Shadow Dancer out of range, and we can kill off the Twilight, which gets rid of 1 Third Wish target and also heals us for 3, which is awesome. So that's important. You always, since we have the Ritual Banishing, we're always trying to work on keeping him on 1 potential target. Sadly, we didn't get very good Sarlacc spawns, but won't matter for one of them since we have the Ritual Banishing. And depending on what he plays here, I could potentially get rid of his... I could potentially get more mileage out of Shadow Dancer. And I want to keep the extra Shadow Dancer because we have 2 Starlax. Again, if he happens to get rid of this or something along those lines, it would sort of suck. And we did replace into a Void Pulse, which is awesome. Sort of a misplay there. Should have replaced first. Well, yeah, I definitely should have replaced first. But Void Pulse is nice to help us heal. And now we're ahead on board. We're ahead on healing. And I'm perfectly fine at this. Fine at this route. I'm forcing him to use Third Wishes on these high threat targets, which makes pretty much baits him into Ritual Banishing. And he's at a low enough health total where I can start racing him, especially with cards like Dark Seeds and Shadow Dancers that we have in hand. This play made me happy. Just using Spectral Blade is safer as well. So you can still see how scared he is of his poor Third Wish targets getting removed, and then we just Ritual Banishing. It was super satisfying indeed. And we pretty much have the game from here. So now it's all about just staying ahead on board, trying to dig for more Ritual Banishings for his Third Wish targets, because he is going to draw into more. He has a full hand, so you have to worry about these kinds of things. And it's nice that we have 2 Sarlacc, so even if he has 1 Dispel, he still needs to worry about the second Sarlacc, or at least spend 2 cards to dispel them. And we can still get mileage out of them considering they're out of range of a lot of stuff if we draw into Ritual Banishings. Playing Blind Scorch, he's on the back foot now since we are in the aggressive state, and he's going to do a little bit of healing. We had potential lethal without him doing that, but sadly, he healed up out of range, but it's all right. We're still in control, and since he played a Rash's Curse especially, my Spectral Blade is much safer now. He's using so many cards to deal with our stuff, and when you're forcing Vitruvian to sort of deal with your high threats while you can still chip in damage, you're in the driver's seat when it comes to Abyssian. So we pretty much have answers to a lot of things. There's a lot of different routes I could have gone with this. We don't have lethal on this turn though, and I think, even drawing into double Dark Seed wouldn't be lethal. So now we just play another high threat target, especially utilizing Sarlacc's Shadow Dancer is just huge in this game. Since we're fine with playing the long game, this is, playing with the Shadow Dancer game plan is fine. Now, realistically, I should have played it up here. The reason, though, I actually should have played it up here. That way, it wouldn't have been in range of his Healing Mystic and him moving up here to kill it. That being said, though, I'm perfectly fine with him taking forward at the face. So we get some triggers off, stay healed, and we know our Rejuvenator is going to be fine for next turn as well. So might as well run Sarlacc into here, get another trigger off, see where it appears. Oh, never mind. I opt for just playing Crossbones. Right, because I just want to get more bodies out there, stay ahead on board. Yeah. No, I remember this now. So we're still in the driver's seat. He Zenrui's my Sarlacc here. He also gets rid of some stuff, but, that's alright. Because we still have lethal. So, Dark Seed plus Spectral Blade plus Crossbones and all this stuff attacking. GG. So you notice how many Third Wishes he plays there? But thanks to all the healing that we have, pull out the win against Scum Wish. I don't actually... Well, I do hate the deck. But, play what you think is fun. I never hate on the person for playing it. If they enjoy it, that's awesome. I just don't like the card. It just doesn't promote a fun gameplay, as you just saw. And it also promotes negativity, I guess, too. Because I rarely ever get salty. I rarely ever try and get mad at the person. And I rarely ever throw out emotes like that. Please don't hold me against that. That rarely happens. But just because of Vitruvian's Third Wish, I even disenchanted my Third Wishes because I was not going to play them, and I would rather play more fun things. So But yeah, that was a fun game. We were pretty dominant in that game as well. And Alcuin's just pretty good, stealing their third wishes. And you notice though, it was more like, them not having the early dispels. In the Vitruvian matchup, it's all about just hoping they don't have the dispels and hoping they don't have the third wishes right off the bat. But even though we didn't draw our lures in the early game and we had a pretty slow hand, considering he didn't have the dispels, we were able to pull out ahead in the mid game. And I think I played that game almost perfectly. There were a couple of misplays and there were a couple of things I could have done cleaner, and mostly in terms of just spawn placement. But that's something that I constantly struggle with. I'm terrible at placement and stuff like that, and knowing where to place things and positioning. I have to work on that still, but I'm learning. Overall though, the deck's a lot of fun. I think there's some potential for this to be a deck you can climb with the ladder, mostly because it does take a lot of people off guard. Considering some of the cards we're playing, not many people expect White Widow stuff going on, and we actually didn't use the White Widow, you noticed, but we did have it in hand a couple of times. That's the problem I've been finding with White Widow, is just you could just put in other stuff. White Widow is something I probably would take out to make this deck more competitive on the ladder, because overall the core of it I think is fine with Venom Toss, Sarlacc, Shadow Dancer, Void Pulse shenanigans with Alcuin, stuff like that. You really don't need the chip damage from White Widow. And you're really relying on that randomness to go your way, which in my case, White Widow really doesn't like listening to me. So I think I would probably just take White Widow out and put in something else. Probably just a stronger card like Keeper maybe, or something along those lines. But I think... Or some more burst potential with Night Sword Assassins. So that's probably what I would do to adjust this list. But in the sense of chipping damage, Jaxi can help chip damage away, Void Pulses, Sarlaccs, Venom Toths. The deck goes well in doing those kinds of things. But I could probably put in Vorpals too. Since you are looking for the longer game, you can play Vorpals much easier, and it does give you a lot of targets for getting a lot of Shadow Dancer pings off if it happens to die. And since you're drawing out dispels fairly frequently with cards like Venom Toth, Sarlacc, and Jaxi, Vorpal Reaver is really going to come down safe more often than not. And I actually do like Aether Master, even if we're not playing an Arcanist deck. Playing more with it, I realize, in Abyssian, when you only have very specific answers to specific things to answer, a lot of cards, being able to dig for things is really, really nice. And playing it behind you, even if it gets dispelled or something like that, it doesn't die to general attack. You're able to use it for a sacrifice effect down the road as well. So it's nice. I like it, especially when you are trying to look for those certain answers like Ritual Banishing or Alcuin. Sorry for the phone there. It's all right. Ending the video here. But anyways, that is sort of a quick video for you guys. Just showcasing a fun deck. Thanks to SunFam for this suggestion. I apologize it wasn't in a decking around series, but hopefully this list sort of appeased you, I guess. But this is what I would run if I was going to run sort of a chip damage with White Widow in Abyssian, I guess. And obviously, since SunFam suggested it, if you want to have some more shenanigans, play it in Magmar with Fractal Replication. You get a lot of pings off. That would be a lot of fun as well. But yeah, I don't have Fractal, so that's why we didn't do it like that. But take care, you guys. Hopefully, you guys have a great night, day, morning, wherever you are, and I will definitely talk to you guys soon.